To undeafen. There we go. All right, guys, we are here for the start of CSL Vainglory playoffs. I am the SRUF, and normally I would be accompanied by the Nova Esports coach Belligerent, but he is currently not here yet. So it's going to be just me for the starting of this first playoff matchup between the sides of the University of Missouri Kansas City and Illinois Urban Champaign. So it's going to be an interesting matchup here because we did get to see a lot of the play from. Let me transfer it over here. A lot of the play from Illinois we saw, or not Illinois, we saw UMKC play a lot this season live a couple times, and they struggled in and out of it, and they ended up the season 2-2. But the other side of it we're going to see is the size of Illinois. Illinois is a kind of a surprise this season. Their star player, I would say, is going to be Maurice the Beast, fairly well-known guy in the Vainglory community. He used to stream a lot, as far as if I recall correctly. I used to see him stream a couple times, but he also played for a couple teams in the Challenger Series and stuff like that. So a very high-end player coming in right there. So let me make sure we're getting ready in the draft here. But it's good to see a high-end player like that in the collegiate scene. It's going to be kind of interesting to see what he brings to the team. Obviously, they finished the season 3-1. The only series they lost 1-2 to the University of Purdue University. So we're going to come in here and we're going to have the 2-2 University of Missouri Kansas City versus the 3-1 Illinois with their star player Maurice the Beast. We're going to have to see if Missouri is going to be able to keep up with the pace of the game that I feel like Maurice and his team are going to bring from the side of Illinois. So it's going to be an interesting matchup here. It looks like everyone is ready, though. We're going to jump into it, guys, like I said, as a solo cast for the first one. So let me get everything right here. We're just getting some readies up in chat, though. But I'm excited, guys. This is going to be the playoffs. Finally, it's time for every match matters. Super, super important, because the regular season is gone and it's either win or go home at this point here in the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes. Let's see here real quick. We have a fun fact we could share. It looks like it says somebody introduced Aranimus to Vainglory. The coordinator of Illinois brought his own players by meeting them on campus. It was a little bit of an odd thing there, but yeah, it's good to see that people on campus share it. And you guys, look out there for other people. Share, your love for Vainglory with other people. It may seem odd, and maybe some people might think Vainglory is it's a mobile game. No one likes mobile games. Or mobile games are for this and that, the other thing. Give people a chance. You find those people that play League and stuff like that, or Dota or anything like that. You can find people that can really appreciate how well made Vainglory is and how nice of a game it is. Let's see, what are they doing here? Looks like they're discussing something, because we did have a patch last week. So we had 2.10 come out, and Lorelei is currently not available for Glory as of yet. So I believe there's going to be a no Lorelei pick going through here. That's what's going on in the chat, but here we go. We're going to jump into the draft, guys. First matchup between the University of Missouri Kansas City and Illinois. And it looks like we're going to have, on the blue side with first ban, is going to be Aranimus, Support Life, which is going to be Maurice the Beast, and Red Rum for the side of Illinois. And on the B side, we're going to have Nike 324, Dark Knight 14, and Krishna 9 for the side of... Oh, one second. Something weird's happening here. Apologies. I had a little bit of an issue at the moment, but we have, for the side of University of Missouri Kansas City, Ryan Blackfeather bands come out. Those are pretty the standard bands from 2.9, so this is going to be kind of normal to see. We are on 2.10, so all those patches have gone through. There's just going to be no Lorelei allowed because of it hasn't been a week since since it has come out, so just to keep things fair. But first pick for Illinois is going to be the Kestrel, very popular pick, and then the follow-up is going to be the Catherine and the Petal from UMKC. Arden gets picked up for Maurice the Beast. I feel like that's a really strong captain pick, even after the changes in 210. We'll see what they want to round out their jungle with here. Looks like they're rotating through some heroes. Reza would be really good. Some thumbs up coming out from his teammates. Yeah, it looks like they're going to go with the Reza. But we have the Catherine Petal combo coming out for the side of UMKC. If I do recall correctly, they did play it a couple times already in the regular season. We saw them pull it out occasionally. And Catherine was their preferred pick for captain for sure. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see here. They round out their team comp with the Gwen. Gwen, I feel like, is a fairly strong pick into the... Kestrel, you use that buckshot to get vision of her, and makes it a little bit harder to deal with. But pretty strong comps coming out from both sides here. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to come out on top here with the draft. I do like the Illinois draft a little bit better, I would have to say. Arden is still really strong, and Reza, I think, is very, very strong in that right as well. But we'll have to see where everybody goes. It's going to be a CP Petal, it looks like, and with the Gwen and Lane. So I mean, a lot of things going. The good counters they have on the side of the University of Missouri, Kansas City. They have a lot of counters for that active camo coming from Aranimus on that Kestrel. So it'll be interesting to see if they're going to be able to capitalize on that, use that lockdown from the Catherine to really punish the Kestrel, or if they're going to have issues with Red Rum diving on the back line and killing Gwen really quickly. A little bit of poke coming out here as Maurice the Beast going on the side of the invade. A very aggressive tactic to do as a captain, but it can work if you can delay or even steal one of the jungle creeps from your opponent. You can really put them behind, and when the fight comes in the middle, when everybody meets at the Elder Tree normally, you can really throw people off and have a level advantage and really take an early lead by winning a fight. But it looks like Missouri decided to just go for the Elder Tree as soon as they saw him go back there, but Gwen stayed back to fight the Arden, and that's not really the best idea. She did tank. I think she was tanking jungle creep for a while, but Maurice the Beast is now in trouble. He's going to have to fall back, but the rotation from his team, they're both level 2, and yep, there goes Gwen. That's the advantage you're looking for when you invade as a captain, just like that. Really well done. Forcing the side of Missouri to try and deal with the Arden who's trying to steal creeps from you, but also do damage. Like, you're really tanky as an Arden. You have that ability to really sit and take a lot of damage, and if you have the know-how of how to get out and believe in yourself, kind of honestly, and you can be able to get out of a lot of weird situations, especially as Arden early with Boots and Vanguard. It bought his team enough time to that Gwen Dark Knight. I don't know if that was the right decision from him to stay back there and not just go to lane, but he ends up dying, giving over a little bit of gold over the side of Illinois. And looks like we're okay so far in lane. CS is about the same. Everything else is about even, I would say. Just that first blood kill going over to the Kestrel, which is really nice. She hasn't gone back to buy yet, so there's no real super benefit in lane. But here we're seeing that poke out that I mentioned in draft. Gwen with that buckshot, able to just kind of harass the Kestrel out, and then looks like a good rotation comes up. Arden was a little bit late there. I think a Vanguard might have actually secured the kill onto the Gwen there, but a little bit too hasty there. But it looks like Maurice the Beast going back in, almost gets it himself there. Yeah, if they would have waited half a second, that Reza would have been able to get the Vanguard shield, and they would have been able to kill that. A little bit of miscommunication, but not too bad overall. They are getting the push in. They did rotate well, forcing the Gwen back. They're going to get some turret damage done here, it looks like. Kestrel, Aranimus, just focusing the turret right now as much as he can. Getting as much damage as possible. They're going to have to rotate out though, because here comes Petal, and Petal's not something that you want to really deal with early when you're really low. And I think Arden's just going to die here. No, he does have the flask. Good use of the flask there. Kestrel's going to be in some trouble though. She's going to have to dip out, because this Petal has bought and does have some CP items all ready to do some bonus damage. Catherine goes in with the stun. Krishna a little low for that. I don't know if that was the best idea to try and go in there. Just gets the stun off though. Looks like everything's going to kind of calm down a little bit, and we'll go from there. It looks like I'm having a slight issue. There we go. It's having a little graphic issue there on the observer client. Not a whole lot of items coming out quite yet. The Kestrel finally, Eranimus finally going back, building towards that Sorrow Blade. Gets a little bit of defense as well for that Gwen poke. I do like that as a Kestrel. You don't see that too often from, I mean, honestly, pro players, and you do occasionally, but you don't see that too often where a laner will buy defense early. This is one of the situations where I feel like it could pay off a lot, though, because that Gwen poke it's just really annoying, and with a little bit of armor you can nullify a lot of it and really, you know, feel safe in lane as a Kestrel, being able to just farm and not feel like you're constantly going to get poked out by a Gwen. It's kind of a weird matchup, I guess you could say. You know, knowing when to trade damage, how to trade damage, stuff like that. Stuns getting trade off. Both sides are going to be content farming here a little bit. There's a 1.3k gold lead here as we get into about 4.5 minutes into the game, and a little bit of tower damage benefit for the side of Illinois. So it's going to be interesting to see who is going to be the aggressor here, and it looks like it's going to be Missouri, as the Petal comes out and jumps straight on top of that Kestrel, level 6 Petal with the explosions there from the Munions, able to take out Kestrel with relative ease. Krishna, a little bit of baiting there, I feel like, taking a lot of damage in the initial before Petal came out, just kind of making Kestrel feel safe. But at this point, the Petal, Nike's going for the alternating current. He does have it now as a first item. We saw him do that once earlier in the season. I don't know if I feel like that's the best item on a Petal right now, but he does make a good, well-timed gank and does exactly what Petal needs to do, and what this team comp of Missouri has been designed for in this draft, which is to be able to see Kestrel and shut her down. It shouldn't be too hard for them to continue that pressure onto her and continue getting kills. And here comes Petal again. This time he goes on Maurice the Beast on the Arden first. Stun goes out onto the Kestrel. This is exactly what they need to do. Good switch over to damage there. Not quite able to finish him off as Petal switched back over to the Arden there a little bit in that fight. Damage still comes out. The stun finally comes out, but the team is still farming. Dark Knight's a little bit further back and has no energy. No real follow-up to finish off this Kestrel. I feel like they should have gotten the kill there, honestly, as we see a nice little glitch out there as we get some sweet dance moves from Arden, as we can see the fix from SEMC there, we'll call it, because they did make it so you could not get teleported to the fountain with somebody if you hit them while they were recalling. So we just see a little bit of dance moves from Arden. That was kind of funny to see, but good to notice. And oh, I missed the fight down here, but it looks like Reza caught out the Petal. Reza does have his Aftershock finish and a little bit of shield already with another CP item on top of it. It looks like he's doing all right. That's going to be the Eclipse Prism. Interesting to see what he'll go for next there, because that item, maybe Shatterglass, or maybe, yeah, the Shatterglass is the only thing I think it build into, unless he's going Dragon Eye or something like that. I feel like Shatterglass might be a little bit more popular on Rezzes right now. But a good kill there for them, keeping their lead up. They're 1.6k ahead here, Illinois. Red Rum with the 1v1 outplay. Gwen going to buy. Gwen has that Sorrow Blade up now, as does the Kestrel. And it looks like, yeah, everybody's kind of gotten their first item finished out. The fountains are done. Crucible is going to be, looks like, coming out next for Maurice the Beast, unless he's going for War Tread. It doesn't look like he's going for War Tread. A little bit of poke fight comes out. Catherine's Blast Tremor comes out and hits 2 there, and Illinois just backs off from that fight, knowing that the silence has already been used. Kind of in an awkward position. They can kind of fall back and wait for their own opportunity. They still have their own gauntlet. Here comes the gauntlet. Beautiful gauntlet from Maurice the Beast, hitting both Petal and Gwen after Red Run dashed in to do a little bit of scaring them away. The double gauntlet secures the kill onto Gwen. And now the push should happen pretty easily. That's a half health Petal. Here comes the Reza dive. He goes in. His ult is on cooldown. The dashes were ready. Almost killing him there. One shot, one kill comes out, but it is blocked up by Krishna. Doing a good job body blocking there. But Illinois does get exactly what they're looking for in a first turret kill there. And no deaths, actually. That really well done from the side of Illinois, waiting to back off from the engage from UMKC, and then using that knowledge of the Blast Tremor being down from the Catherine to re-engage with the Gauntlet, stunning up both the jungle and the carry. Quick, easy kill turned into an objective. Really nice play from the side of Illinois. thus far. Sorry, take a minute to catch my own senses here real quick and just figure out what else we got going on here. I want to say that UMKC kind of baited themselves into that fight. They knew they used their own blast tremor. They should have assumed that the gauntlet was up. Since Catherine was 6, Arden should be 6 as well. It was a really good gauntlet. Maybe flares would have been the difference. That's the only other thing I can really think of. If they had vision of the Arden knowing he was there already, they might have been able to avoid it. But they're going to have to play a little bit more cautious here, knowing that if they go in and Illinois disengages, they're going to have to be wary of what they use in their what cooldowns they decide to use in their own initiation, and what that leaves them with when that counter initiation comes in from the Arden Gauntlet or the Reza diving in or something like that. They do have some good vision up now. The mine's keeping them safe. They're getting some jungle farm in. They are still about 4,000 gold behind at 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Almost at 10 minutes into the game. But they're, you know, pretty far behind from the solo kill from the Reza and that last fight getting a kill in a turret for the side of Illinois. So it looks like Illinois is going to start up the gold mine as well here. Kestrel does get caught out, stunned both by the Aces High and the Merciless Pursuit. But here comes the countering engage. Beautiful gauntlet again by Maurice the Beast. Gwen taking huge damage in the 2v3. Reza full health still. Petal backed off and not able to hit him right now. But wow, that was a beautiful gauntlet from Maurice the Beast again, showcasing his own play as a top tier captain, at least in the challenger scene. I personally do not recall how far he went, and what teams he played for. I just know he played in the Challenger Series, and I've heard of him before, obviously. And I think I've watched him stream a couple of times, as I mentioned before as well. But really, really good Arden play by there, just showcasing how good the hero is, but how much mechanics can matter. Knowing where to drop the gauntlet, when to drop it, and who to hit with it too. And he's 2 for 2 on landing stuns on both the jungle and the carry, which is just really impressive and really cool to watch. So we're gonna have to see UMKC here. I think they're gonna need a Crucible here eventually to help break themselves out of it, because Maurice the Beast has just been on point with those gauntlets from Arden. But they're gonna have to farm up here, get their items. I mean, it was a good engage. They killed Kestrel out right away, but then the gauntlet came out. They all got stunned, and they seemed almost discoordinated from what was happening. Kestrel's up in front here, gets poked out a little bit. Vanguard comes out. Here comes a counter engage from the Reza, diving in, not on top of anybody right now, taking a lot of damage. Good Crucible to rock the Aces High there onto the Reza. Backing off now. Looks like, oh, they turn the focus onto Petal. Both Petal and Gwen are both really low. There is no real tier 3 items finished on this Gwen, so she's not doing that much damage, but they turn around. Petal's gonna die to the Arden, but the 2-kill follow-up, Gwen able to buckshot and finish off the Kestrel as Arden dies to the turret as well. Good bit of turnaround from the side of UMKC, and maybe a little bit of overextension from Illinois with a dive on the Arden. I don't feel like he needed to go that deep. He did secure the kill on Petal, but Kestrel was kind of left out on her own in a 1v2 where all it takes is a stun, and then you have Gwen turn around and finish her off. But overall, good trades. I'm really enjoying the team fights that have been happening thus far. Not just because the Arden gauntlets have been beautiful. That last one was probably not as beautiful as the first two, but they've been well placed. Both teams seeming to understand how much is on the line here and understand that they need to play at their highest level in order to win these games and move on in the CSL playoffs. But we'll see how it goes, because Illinois is doing a really good job of controlling the map right now, taking out that first tier turret and trying to press their advantage in some instances, but they have gotten caught out a couple times. Maybe a little bit more offensive vision would be good for them, but the vision from Krishna has been really on point. He has had mines and flares everywhere. He got that early contraption to use as well, so it's kind of interesting to see when the next fight breaks out. Looks like Arden doing a little bit of poking here. He doesn't have any flares up though, so it's kind of, I don't think they're going to be able to engage here. Take a quick look at the items. There is a tension bow. I missed that, but there's a tension bow and a sorrow blade onto the Gwen. She already has a void battery though too, showing that really using that buckshot to keep an eye on the Kestrel, give them that vision. But it also is a very energy heavy ability, so I can understand that coming out. It's a little weird to see it come out this early. I feel like you need to wait on it sometimes, and you just need to recall more occasionally with the Gwen. But it'll be interesting to see how it works. Dark Knight has been fairly on point with all of his aces high thus far, getting some really good stuns off or forcing out the Crucible from Maurice the Beast, aka Support Life. But it is another thing that does cost energy, and you do need that Void Battery is what he decided to go for instead of opting for a little bit more damage, going only 2 tier 3 damage on it. He might go for those Halcyon Chargers here soon as well. Illinois taking a very fairly easy gold mine there as the initial fight happens. Captain goes in after it was already dead. There comes some blocks down. Crucible came out. Low health on Arden, low health on Gwen. Fountain has already been used on the side of UMKC. Gwen goes down. Fountain finally comes out for the side of Illinois. Really good job tanking some of the glimmer shots, or not glimmer shots, but taking that front line from Arden. Arden just doing a really good job there, holding the Fountain as well to help secure the kills on his team. 2 kills for his team thus far. The Crystal Miner almost taking out Kestrel there, and I don't know if they're going to be able. It's going to be really close. Does he have a B up? He does not. Unfortunately, they aren't able to get the ace, and they're going to have to fall back with both Reza and Kestrel really low. But another good fight from the side of Illinois, showcasing Maurice the Beast again on this Arden, aka Support Life. Like I keep mentioning it, but I have to. You can see the level of play. He knows what to do at almost all times. Gauntlets have been spot on. Damage absorption is beautiful. Fountains have been good. Just that one little overconfident dive, I feel like, has been his only misplay this game. It's really nice to see a captain, showing the captain role, I guess you would call it, doing really well and just leading his team thus far to a very healthy gold lead. Let's take a peek at the items though as we come into this and see where everyone sits at. There are one Tyrant Monocle is finished. It looks like a Tornado Trigger might be coming out for the Kestrel for Animus. Red Rum has his Shatterglass and his Clockwork and his Aegis. This is a very, very fed, I want to say, Reza for Red Rum. This man is going to be doing a lot of damage and tanking a lot of damage at this point. Gauntlet comes out, it looks like it barely caught the Gwen, but doesn't hit as beautifully as the last ones we've seen. Diving coming in, good body block by Krishna again. Ooh, ace is high, catches Reza as he dives in. Petal really low, Fountain comes out, but Petal, I don't think she's going to be able to make it out of this one. Flash comes out, Crucible comes out, just barely not enough to keep her alive. Good initiation. The Gauntlet didn't hit anybody, but it did cause the panic it needed to allow the rest of Illinois, Red Rum on this resident dive in and Kestrel to follow. Just a good initiation thus far from this side of Illinois, and a little bit forced to be so reactive is hard in any game. When you have to react to what the other team is doing, it can cause, you might not make the right decision. You might make the wrong, you might not make the decision in time, or you just make the wrong one. They're just going to try and 2v3 at the Kraken here to try and stop it. Unfortunately, they're going to take a ton of damage. That Reza, with the tankiness and his ulti as well, with all the damage items he has, he's just going to crush through both of them with ease. And now this is looking like a very, very scary push for the side of Missouri to deal with. Because this is they've lost pretty much all the team fights now, and now it's going to be a Kraken push. They've only lost 1 turret so far. This should be a 2 turret push, I want to say. We'll see how the fight goes. Gauntlet is up, and it looks like everyone is fairly healthy. Red Rum's a little low, but I feel like Illinois are going to want to push the issue here. We'll see what happens. They're waiting for all 3 members up. UMKC are going to have to pull out some defensive maneuvers here. Petal taking a lot of damage. Stun comes out onto Reza, it looked like, taking the turret. Reza jumping on the background, almost killing Petal. Petal gets out barely. Turret goes down. Arden was taking it for a while. Kraken's still very healthy. We'll see how this goes. The heal up has happened. Petal goes back. Some damage comes out. Split damage coming out now, though. Both Reza and Gwen were half health. Petal goes down to the reinitiation from Reza and Kestrel. And it looks like they're going to get another base. This might be the game. If they get caught out here, this could be really bad for the side of UMKC. That Kraken is still really healthy. Everyone on the side of Illinois is really low. Here comes the Gwen, almost killing the Reza, but now Kestrel's back in it. Kestrel gets a kill on Gwen, and that's going to be it, folks. I don't believe there's any way that they can finish this by itself. Yeah, there's no way. And that's it. That's game. Illinois with some decisive team fighting to take game number 1 of this first match or first series of the round of 16 in the CSL playoffs. All right, and we'll take a look at the builds here. That Echo for Maurice the Beast on the Arden, that almost complete build for Red Rum, as well as Kestrel, 4 offensive items finished up with the Aegis as 1 defensive item. Did go Attention Bow. I didn't see that earlier. That's an interesting choice. Helped him out a lot in bursting out the Petal and the Gwen, I feel like. With the Reza combo, that was it's a really potent item to go with it. Just tons of burst and not a lot they could do, especially if the Gauntlet is landed by the Arden. Just kind of got snowballed and caught out a little bit too much, I feel like, from the side of UMKC. We'll see how game number 2 is going to treat us here in a moment, guys. Let me get us back over to the caster screen, where we are now joined by the infamous Mr. Belligerent. If he's there. He's in chat. I don't know if he's actually here yet, though. Let's see what's going on here. So yeah,
I'm here. I couldn't unmute my mic for some reason.
No worries. Welcome. After game 1 is finished, we're gonna see game 2 here shortly.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
I was gonna ask you though, since you're here now, do you know more about Maurice the Beast? Because I know he's been around for a while. I wasn't sure if you knew him or not, but I've heard of him, so I'd see if you have any input on him.
I don't know him too well. He was the captain for Ardent.
That's what it was. I wasn't sure the teams though either. That's what I wanted to double check on. I know he played for
Ardent
a challenger
where
team.
I've seen him in challengers. I don't recall Ardent ever being up in the VG8, but Ardent has at times had good showings in challengers, but I haven't heard much from them lately. I don't even know if the team is still together or not.
Yeah, I believe their team fell apart, but obviously Maurice the Beast keeping his competitive spirit alive here in leading this team of Illinois to the CSL playoffs, and now their first victory in the playoffs.
Yeah, and we heard in our last week that Illinois had given some of the top contenders some issues throughout the season, being the only loss for, I believe it was Cal State, I want to say Cal somebody.
They went 3-1, and the only team they lost to was Purdue.
Oh, okay.
And we are in the draft though for this game 2, guys. We're gonna have a side switch. So first pick on the A side is gonna be for the University of Missouri Kansas City, and they are gonna ban the Reza.
Getting rid of the Reza. It looks like Black Feather's gonna be the second ban. I gotta be honest with you. I would almost consider banning the Arden. They may not have the familiarity with Maurice the Beast, but they're gonna take the Arden. That works.
That works too. Yeah, that's one way of stopping him having to either ban it or take it. But yeah, his plays last game were just on point. They were phenomenal. It's probably one of the best displays of captain we've seen all season.
And when I think of the little that I do know about Maurice in challengers, Arden is the captain that stands out in my mind, so I know he's very strong on that, which is a bit of a change. I think in every match that we have casted with UMKC, they have used Catherine for their captain, so I believe this is the first time that, at least that I have seen UMKC pick somebody other than Catherine, and the Saw comes out. Catherine and Vox on the other side for Illinois.
And the Petal again. Yeah, that's their...
No surprise there.
Nike really likes his Petal, man. What can you say?
Yeah. Actually, I I played a ranked match against 2 of the 3 from UMKC one time, and they also
Swap
had the pedal.
heroes.
So,
Maybe it's just their
yeah.
thing, man. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they have a pretty high win rate. I think before that last game, it was around 70%, if I recall the tweet that went out from CSL. So, Vox and Kath are going to be rounded out by Alpha. Alpha, very dangerous jungler with this in the current meta, mainly just because of the item changes that have happened. The Aftershock, anybody using Aftershock, because all of the heroes got health buffs, doing much more damage. And then the new way that Clockwork works almost makes her unkillable once if she decides to put a Clockwork on there, because you can get that termination protocol back online so quick.
Oh yeah, I took the liberty of when I had to play Alpha the other day in a ranked match of building a Clockwork because you had mentioned it, and I was like, huh, I've really liked Clockwork since they changed it a couple patches ago, and it's really nice to see on some heroes like Alpha that do consistent CP damage to do stuff to get that actual early, I mean the cooldown reduction, so your ult's up all the time. Sorry, I got distracted by Maurice the Beast doing the same thing he did last time, which is doing the aggressive captain style, trying to go for an invade. This time UMKC were ready for it though, and looks like Saw goes through the lane right away. They had a little bit of issues with it last game where Dark Knight decided to try and fight the Arden in jungle. It was really odd, but here we go, another fight kind of breaking out. This is where it gets a little tricky though, because they are not level 2 because of that little engagement they had with Maurice the Beast early, and Petal is running for her life right now, as is Arden.
Yeah, I feel like, and over this season we have definitely seen UMKC improve, but I feel like especially their early game rotations is one of the places where they do still struggle, not quite understanding which heroes are early game, which heroes are late.
Oh, barely gets out. That was actually kind of impressive that they got out of that. But that was a really awkward moment from what you said, early game rotations have not been their strong suit. And a team like Illinois has taken full advantage of that with the early invade from Maurice the Beast to cause it a little bit more shake-up. This game probably not as much, but it still worked out. The jungler and their carry did the rotation in a quick manner, came to the Elder Tree, and we're already level 2 versus the side of UMKC that hadn't even hit it yet, so they were already at a huge disadvantage going into the fight.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that you looked it up, and UMKC are not necessarily the highest skill players, although like I said, and they get first blood there. They have improved greatly over the past few weeks, but I think that's one thing that they need to get kind of wrap their minds around is the way that levels matter and items matter and things like that.
Here comes the Saw train. Oh, he got it, but he rolled back into the turret. Oh man, the roadie run. That was sad to see, but Arden too low. Don't go back in. Uh-oh, he went back in. Krishna almost getting himself killed there. But yeah, as we said, that Nike, with that improvement that we saw, I noticed that last game too. His jungle rotations have been something of noteworthy for sure, because he's definitely been more prolific in these 2 games about getting up there and actually securing kills for his team.
Yeah, he gets the whole batch from Illinois, and he's not caught out here. He's going to take down Red Rum.
Oh wow, I didn't even see them still fighting. That was really nice.
Yeah, great rotation by Nike there, and the ability. That's something Red Rum's going to have to be careful of as well. This pedal does put out a lot of damage. Still very much a factor, even though the Frostburn ability, or the ability to use Frostburn, no longer there really for Petal. Still outputs a lot of damage. Took down Red Rum with no problem with only 2 crystal bits. We see the first turret going down at 3.5 minutes for this weapon power saw. Just a reminder that 5-minute mark is generally what we judge this saw push on, and easily able to take down that first turret in that time.
Yeah, that was again a good rotation from the side of UMKC, something they seemed to be a little bit discombobulated with in the early game. As they go in the mid game, Petal makes that rotation to the backs, takes all the backs, kills the Alpha, and then and they notice that the laner and Maurice the Beast, the captain, go down to take the Elder Tree. I'm not sure if they actually saw it, but they just 3-man the turret and take the objective. That's something that we mentioned before as we've looked them up and stuff like that, they may not be the highest tier players, but that's a high tier maneuver right there to take a kill and then continue to use that to snowball into objectives. That was really well done by them, and this second game is looking much better for them.
I suspect it won't be too long that we'll be saying that they aren't high skill tier, because they should be able to move through the rank levels in basically community play fairly quickly, because they are a very decent team.
Most definitely they are decent, and they're showcasing that here now with another saw push. They're trying to use the saw to its main effect, which is that pushing strat, and it's really good with a pedal, to be honest. He did go Shatterglass first this time. That is something we did not see him do before, and then even last game he went alternating current first, maybe changing up his build finally. But here comes the initiation. Saw going really low, but he does get the kill onto the Vox, almost downing the Alpha to force her into that reboot stage. That was really well done. The Arden play from Krishna is looking pretty good. Maybe they should have avoided this Catherine earlier. They're doing a really good job with this push, or they might even get the second tier turrets.
Yeah, definitely. And just one thing that stands out to me is the difference between Maurice on Arden and Maurice on somebody else. Although they do give up 2 kills in return there, they are up 2k gold. They did get the second turret already, so it's still in a good position despite giving back those 2 kills, especially if Krishna here can help keep a Ranimus off of this first turret until Dark Knight can return. But it's a nice change to see UMKC playing somebody other than Catherine, and we see Maurice struggling on this Catherine, having already gone down twice, and her stacks are only at 7. And for those unfamiliar, generally the way that what we're looking for on a Catherine is about 2 stacks a minute to keep her where she needs to be as far as like her late game tankiness. And right now he's only about 1 stack a minute, so definitely behind on those stacks. And those stacks uber important now, especially since they returned Catherine to only getting 1 armor and 1 shield per stack, as opposed to the 2 armor and shield that we saw a few patches ago.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see him not being so hot on this Catherine. But also you gotta remember though too, is they are getting pressed a lot, and he does have to save that stun to try and stop these initiations just like that onto the Vox, stunning up the pedal to try and buy them time to get back, because they are behind, and it becomes a rock and a hard place for a Catherine, where you really need those stacks to be able to tank later on, but you also really need to be able to stun people when they engage on you. It's kind of a hard place to be. Fountain comes out for Maurice the Beast. Here comes the Alpha ulti, only hitting the Arden, but they do get the kill onto the Saw, and it looks like they are going to be able to clean up this one with the defense there. Maybe a little bit too far forward from the side of UMKC. Saw gets killed first out, and 2 kills, and it looks like they're going to be a gold mine going to Illinois.
Yeah, and one thing about the Saw push comp, and we saw this, I want to say it was last week, where we had all of the turrets down in like 9 minutes, I think it was, but then the other team was able to come back. Some teams struggling with what to do with the Saw push comp. Getting the choke point turret is more of a luxury than it is a necessity for a Saw push comp, and they need to revert back to just going down into the jungle, stealing resources and things of that nature, because getting through that choke point turret is going to be very difficult. And if you just keep trying to push that matter, you know, this team is going to be able to come back and shut them down, especially in that choke point where there's not a lot of room for maneuvering.
Yeah, Pedal can't get jumping away, and everybody can't be in different places to try and stay away from the Alpha. That choke point is going to be very helpful for the side of Illinois to hold out their
Maurice
defense.
with the Atlas online, which will help a lot. But I really want to see Red Rum get this Atlas online. Alpha has the best delivery system for it in this comp for Illinois in order to be able to shut down this Saw. We'll see. Dark Knight does have his Aegis online already, so we'll see if he's able to block out those Atlas effects and keep himself moving, because that's definitely going to hurt this team if he's not able to stop himself from getting Atlas.
Yeah, if he gets Atlas, I feel like they'll be in a lot of trouble. The damage outputs from this Alpha and this Vox is going to be enough to kill him in the time that he's Atlas before he's able to kill them. Just kind of the hard stall counter that you see a lot. So we'll see if he's able to block that out or not. Looks like Gauntlet comes in. Not the greatest Gauntlet. Doesn't land on anybody, but they do trade Petal for Vox, and Saw is starting to do work and start shooting. He is on the Catherine, though, currently. So Alpha's just sitting there doing work. Maurice the Beast finally backing off when he gets too low. But here comes the Fountain out finally for the side of UMKC, and it looks like Illinois is going to have to back off unless he decides to go back in. He missed the initiation there, but it probably maybe for the best. I don't know. I guess it could have been either way. He does have his ult up, and he doesn't have a second tier 3 item yet, though, so it would have been interesting if he would have hit that and gone back in.
Yeah, we need to see Dark Knight get his second item online quickly, and you see there the Atlas, the way they converged on his spot. He was Atlas, and there's no way he's gonna live through what was essentially a 1v3 because Krishna just wasn't in the position, didn't have the cooldowns up that he needed to have up, and Illinois able to take that fight pretty easy.
A little bit of an overextension there. They got some trades early at their turret, but then they decided to keep pressing the matter, and it gets a little hard to do against someone like Alpha who has an ultimate. That reboot able to bring her back to life or do a bunch of damage. It looks like they're going to try Nike trying to make a move here onto the gold miner while Illinois is doing it, distracting that Alpha. Alpha's taking a ton of damage from this. They are going to secure the gold mine on the back of this, but they might actually be able to kill this Alpha. Ulti comes out, doesn't hit anybody important, and Alpha's going to go down. They got the gold mine though, so.
Yeah, they did get the gold mine, but definitely a great bait from Nike. UMKC has, however, fallen behind in gold at this point. Red Brom needed to just fend that off and keep them away from being able to steal that gold mine, which in a sense he did, but he gave up his life for it, which I don't think was necessary. Don't need to go in on a Petal and a Saw, especially when you're that low already by the time you make it up to that push. Yeah, and they'll get the Crystal Sentry here too.
Yeah, good little bit of help for them. They're going to chase this. It looks like Blast Jammer did come out there. Petal might want to try and turn onto the Vox or not. It looks like they're just going to back off. UMKC not wanting to fight this, knowing that Alpha is coming from the behind. But yeah, good plays from this from Nike thus far. There comes the ulti, and that was a little way over aggressive from Red Rum. His reboot wasn't up yet, and he just dives in there, gets gauntleted, and mowed down by the Saw. Saw still not done with a second tier 3 offensive item. Kind of odd to see at 12 minutes a Saw with only a Sorrow Blade.
Yeah, especially with the amount of resources he has. Going a bit more defensive on the Saw, which to me says he may not be the most comfortable playing the Saw, which is fine. It's been keeping him alive. He hasn't died much in the past few minutes. They got him several times earlier when they were trying to push that choke turret a little too early, but he's just not going to. He's definitely going to drop off if they don't get some items online. We see the Oak Heart in his inventory. I'm wondering if he's going to turn that into a War Treads at some point, but that's a little more defense than we typically see on a Saw, because you just want that burst and you want to be able to use. We see these team fights lasting so long, and that usually just doesn't happen with a Saw, but when all you're doing is hitting them with a Sorrow Blade. But he does now have the breaking point online, so that will help, especially with a couple of tanks there like Catherine and Alpha.
Yeah, get those stacks up and then just melt people. Here comes the stun out. It doesn't get those stacks off to give him the spin up. Blast Tremor comes out really good from Maurice the Beast. Initiation comes in. There comes the Fountain out from Arden already. Saw running for his life, as is Petal. That was a really good initiation from the side of Illinois to catch them out a little bit there for UMKC. They get one kill out of it, but that's going to be enough. I think they should be able to get a turret, or at least they're going to get Crystal Miner off of it. They should be able to get at least one other objective off of it as well.
Yeah, it was a perfectly timed stun by Maurice the Beast, being able to keep those stacks from hitting the Saw. If the stun comes in too late, then Saw still gets his stacks. But that stun came in just in time, and there were no stacks for Dark Knight. And then the team jumped on him. Maurice was able to then Atlas him, so not only is he fighting without his stacks, he's fighting in an Atlas state. with slowed attack speed without his stacks, so that's just uber slow for Saw.
Yeah, it's just almost non-existent damage, which is why he was running at that point. Here comes the initiation, though. Again, another gauntlet thrown out. Doesn't stun up anybody. Kind of an awkward position, allowing Vox to just hit up this Arden, getting tons of stacks, 18 stacks already, and Vox is just mowing people down. Able to get out barely. Is he going to make it out? He is going to be able to get out. Nike a little low, but now Alpha and Catherine should be able to clean up the rest of this fairly easily. Good initiation hit there. Tons of damage onto that Petal, who has, I don't believe, does she have any shield yet? She does
No,
not. That'd be why she took
shield.
so much damage. I was like, that was a huge number to come out from an Alpha with an initiation. I was like, that's
that's
something
something that we've been harping on this entire season is just the lack of defense on some of these teams, and we see UMKC continuing that trend. Although there is armor on the Petal, so we are getting more defense than what we have been seeing there. But that was a great gauntlet coming out of Krishna. It definitely separated the team, and it left Dark Knight one-on-one with Red Rum. The problem was he took so much damage after dropping the gauntlet that he had to run out of it, so it dropped the wall and allowed Illinois to converge as 3 onto Dark Knight, saved Red Rum. So
yeah, it was a little, I just felt like it was a little awkward because it didn't stun anybody up, but here we go, team fight happening, Dark Knight doing some damage here. He is not Atlas at the moment, so this Alpha is going to take a bunch of damage, but he is going to die to the explosion from that reboot, and she's going to come back up online, just barely living actually there, and Arden getting the kill on Vox, and now it's a 2v2. This might actually go the way of UMKC because that Alpha initiation is down, and here comes another gauntlet splitting up the team. He does run out of it right away again, but oh, here comes the initiation. There it is. A lot more damage coming down. Petal running away with really low health. I feel like she could have been able to kite that one out there. I'm not entirely sure if they're just comfortable with it, but now she might die because she waited too long and got stunned, but no, she's got it.
Got it. There was a moment there where it looked like that beautiful gauntlet from Krishna to save Nike was going to go unappreciated because Nike came right back. I thought they were going to be able to get the kill, but UMKC turns it around. They're probably going to get this Kraken because only Aranum is up for the side of Illinois.
And they
although he is coming in
and
1v3, and I think this is a huge mistake. This is going to be an ace for UMKC.
It was an ace before that, so technically it's not a double ace, but yeah, but still.
Not a double ace, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Oh, that's interesting to see, but something I kind of am interested to see how it actually works is Marisa Beakes picks up a clockwork on that Catherine. It does proc off of your Storm Guard and your Merciless Pursuit. That can really affect how often your abilities are up because of the cooldown reduction. But I don't know if it's going to be able to help them here on this next big push with the Kraken for Missouri.
Yeah, if they can fend off this Kraken push, this clockwork would definitely help because they did change the damage reflection on the Storm Guard or Captain of the whatever her bubble is called.
It's Storm Guard.
Storm Guard. Okay, I was right. But they did change the reflection damage to ability damage, so it will proc, as you said, the clockwork. UMKC pushing in on this turret. We just need to get this saw here, and this turret's going to go down so quick.
Gauntlet comes out a little bit late, but it does land a stun. Yeah, they're going to try and just kill the turrets. It looks like they're going to be happy, I guess, with taking 2 turrets and just Krishna is not going to give over the ace and just war treads out. But that's 2 turrets isn't too bad. A fairly successful push. I feel like it could have been a lot cleaner, and they might have been able to actually end the game there. But back on their feet, they're still down 5k gold because of the kills and the farm and stuff like that. But they do have an exposed vein crystal that they could end the game with, hopefully, here shortly.
Yeah, it definitely could have been a cleaner push. They weren't quite synced as a team. You had Nike down there fighting and basically dead by the time Dark Knight even started putting damage on that first turret, so they just weren't close enough together as a team. Whereas if they play back and stick together as a team, they may actually be able to keep Illinois busy long enough for the Kraken to do more damage to those turrets while they stay healthier and push in more on that crystal. But you do have an exposed crystal for the side of Illinois, who, by the way, is up 5K gold over UMKC, despite Illinois having no turrets down right now.
Yeah, this has been, I feel like, a no, they have two turrets on. They did take, or you, but they did. You're
I'm
talking
sorry,
about,
I meant despite having no turrets left.
yeah, that's what it is. I was like, they did get some turrets, but that's been kind of a common trend we've seen with these saw push comps. They get ahead early, but then some misplays seem to happen, and people end up losing. They lose a bunch of kills and they give up a bunch of farm because they keep trying to push lanes, but they're not able to, secure the victory or secure the enemy jungle farm and keep that gold lead going. They always end up getting behind and losing it. It feels like.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to keep up this pressure, if they're able to close this out. Sometimes, as we've seen in the past, teams can struggle to close out with the saw comp. Red Rum now having built into a Dragon's Eye and has a Blazing Salvo, which is a little bit odd on an alpha. I got to admit, like, I would much prefer to see the clockwork on the Red Rum, but we'll see how this works out. Maybe going to be building that into an alternating current, but not typically an item that you see on a crystal powered alpha here.
Yeah, a little odd of a choice to go for, I feel like, as well. But we'll see how it ends up, if it will pay off for them or it won't. That's going to be the big question. All members of Illinois are infused. Krishna is the only member of any team that is not infused at the moment. But also, we'll take a quick gander at Maurice the Beast. He does have 42 stacks now from that Captain of the Guard passive, showing that he did get a lot more stacks over time when he does have about over 2 per minute now, or about 2 per minute now. Gauntlet comes out. That one was a little bit odd. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That may have been a mistake with that gauntlet placement, but it ended up being a beautiful gauntlet, and that's going to win the game, I believe, for UMKC. They need to just ignore the alpha and finish and take this Kraken down, finish the push.
They might be able to just go for the end now.
They could just go for the crystal. A little delayed in making that decision, but death timer so long that with only an exposed crystal, they should have plenty of time. Red Rum not gonna be able to really do anything here.
Yeah, especially since he
maybe take out the Nike, but this saw will just destroy this crystal. And UMKC
pull it back
to take a match off of Illinois. This is a great match.
Yeah, this has become quite the matchup here, guys, that we are now seeing. We're gonna see a 1-1 tie going into game 3 in our first matchup of the CSL playoffs, and I'm impressed. Like you said, that last fight was a little weird with that gauntlet because I feel like he was trying to go over the wall there, but he didn't have enough oomph on it, I guess, or didn't click far enough.
Yeah,
so he
ran into the wall. Yeah, he ran into the wall and ended up being placed perfectly. Dropped right on Aranimus. Red Rum with his prime directive flew right into the wall, as opposed to where I think if Krishna had landed the gauntlet where he wanted to, it would have had Red Rum inside the gauntlet, which would have allowed him to get onto the saw. But whether it was purposeful or mistake, that gauntlet ended up being a thing of beauty. So
yeah, indeed, it ended up winning them the game, and now we're gonna go to the decisive game 3 that we've only seen one before, which should be a blind pick again.
we only saw once before, but in that one time that we saw it, it was really due, as we found out going into game 2 and game 3, it was more due to one of the members of the team being disconnected for over half of the match.
That is true. We did see that, and this will probably be our first time seeing a fairly, I mean, it feels like it's a much more even matchup, that these teams that are in playoffs now are, even though we saw UMKC struggle throughout the season, they're here to play. They're showing up. I mean, they struggled in that first game. That first game was a little bit awkward. And then second game, they pull themselves together and get a fairly good comeback win, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. So we are going to go into game 3 here, which is going to be blind picks, which means, unfortunately, that UMKC is not going to be able to take that Arden away from Maurice the Beast. I don't know if they would anyway, being that they would have been on side B, and I don't know that their ban would have prioritized the Arden, but I think that in my mind was really one of the biggest differences. Not saying he performed bad or poorly on this Catherine, but his Arden is just so amazing. And it was also nice seeing UMKC use somebody else other than Catherine. I don't know if they will appreciate it enough to do it again, but I would definitely enjoy seeing them do something different like that, because to me it felt like the Arden worked a lot better for them than the Catherine would have.
Yeah, definitely worked out for them. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of making sure I got everything set up for this next one, because we got to make sure it don't block anything when we get into the pick here.
Into the next one. So the one thing that I am expecting to see is Nike on the pedal and Maurice on the Arden. I would also expect to see Krishna on the Catherine. The rest of what comes out is yet to be determined. We'll see which way these teams decide to go. It's a little different being able to have blind picks and get absolutely whichever hero you want. So we'll see how these teams are going to put together their comps. There's no ban, so it's anybody that you want. There are probably some really overpowered comps that you could put together in a blind pick. You could also put together in a single ban format. You can also get some really overpowered comps, but the teams in blind don't have the ability to pick or take something that they think that you're going for. They also don't have the ability to counter what you're going for. And I was wrong. Not going to see Nike on the pedal. We're going to see Nike on the Rhyme, which is kind of surprising. I don't think I've seen Nike play anything but pedal in this in the CSL season.
I think you're right. I don't think we've seen it either. But there's the comps that are going to come out, guys. We're going to see Aranimus on the Black Feather, Red Rum on the Reza again, and Maurice the Beast on the Arden, with Nike picking up the Rhyme this time, Dark Knight with the Saw, and Krishna with the Arden again. So we're going to see that double Arden matchup coming into this last game of this first matchup of the CSL playoffs.
Yeah, so definitely some good comps here. Black Feather, or as I like to call him, Broken Feather, is very strong in the current meta. They did nerf him a little bit, but I gotta be honest, it doesn't feel like it was enough, because he still kind of just bullies around whoever he wants.
Yeah, definitely. He still is one of the strongest picks. I still ban him in my own games because he's just annoying and hard to deal with, so it's kind of interesting to see how Aranimus is going to play him. And then Red Rum showing, or in that first game, he played a brilliant Reza, doing lots of damage. I don't think he had many mistakes. And then obviously Marissa Beast on this Arden has been exceptional. Nike on this reworked Rhyme is going to be interesting, though, because this is 210. Obviously, guys, I'm going to throw that out there for you. This is the new patch. Obviously, the only thing that we're doing here currently is Lorelei was not allowed to be picked because she is not available for in-game currency yet. She's only available for purchase, so tomorrow is the next day that she's would be available for teams to use, because they have to wait a week after the patch.
Yeah, so Rhyme with his got nerfed. He does do more. He does receive more fortified health. He receives 25% instead of 18% to his fortified health. However, all of his damage was dropped, so I believe mathematically overall it was a loss for Rhyme, so he's not quite as strong and overpowering as he used to be, although many teams still favoring to ban out the Rhyme. Generally, if I'm on A side in the draft format, I will ban Rhyme first in hope that they give me the Black Feather.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but the even when Rhyme was in his prime, so to speak, sorry about the horrible rhyme there, but even when Rhyme, last patch when Rhyme was in his prime, teams were first picking Rhyme. Reza, one of the few heroes that was able to kind of counter him, because with the Troublemaker, Reza can dash around and avoid some of those Winter Spires and some of that damage, and really burst down Rhyme quick if he's not able to get his fortified health. Nike late on the rotation. He's going to rotate up right into the middle of a 1v3, but get out of there. So I really feel right now like I have to give the advantage over to Illinois with these comps, although UMKC does have a very strong comp with the Rhyme and the Saw, but I think the Rez is going to be able to counter out the Rhyme, especially because he's a little weaker. It's going to be harder for him to get that fortified health online.
Yeah, be able to tank himself up. The burst and high damage that Reza does is going to be hard to deal with as a Rhyme. As we saw during you talking about that, Reza Red Rum was able to come up in the lane and pick up 2 kills for the side of Illinois, while Nike was not rotating with him. A little bit overextension from the side of UMKC, and they find themselves 1,000 gold down at like 3 minutes. So they're still trying to do this push strat where the turret is about half health already. But this time it's Red Rum getting a lot of the jungle advantage instead of Nike.
Yeah, and you see the push comp not working as well for UMKC this time. One of the big reasons there is going to be Maurice the Beast on this Arden.
And here comes
Arden so much.
Again. Oh.
Dark Knight barely getting out with his life, but Arden's so much tankier than Catherine is, especially early game. So Maurice able to stay up there and help fight off this Saw push.
Yeah, the constant vanguards to help keep the Black Feather healthy so he can stay under turret and clear waves. Helps it so that the Saw can't push those turrets down. And now UMKC's a little bit on the back foot after Reza came back in and tried to kill Dark Knight. It's a 3v2 at this turret, and they're going to try, Illinois is going to try to get some of their own damage done. It looks like a lot of minions candies coming out from Illinois as well. They're trying to get a little bit of more push going against that Saw. It's a very handy tool to have. Either your captain or your laner can pick it up, having that minion candy. It looks like Maurice the Beast picking up 3 more. He's doing what a lot of teams, not a lot of teams, but maybe some teams may not realize, is making those minions harder to kill for Saw buys you time, and that's what you really need against the Saw, is to buy yourself time until your carry, like a Blackfeather, can get a couple items, and then he can start fighting the Saw, or at least counter pushing the Saw, keeping the waves cleared a little bit easier. So good work for Maurice the Beast so far.
If we see Dark Knight behind in CS to Aranimus in this, which is not typically something you see on a Saw because it's really easy to farm, but he lost almost an entire wave on that last wave, missing out on 2 last hits and having Krishna steal a couple of CS before he returned back to the lane rather than holding it for his carry.
Here comes the push, so they're gonna go full all in on this. Reza goes right in top of the Saw. Saw is almost dead. He is able to get the turret. Rhyme's trying to get out. It doesn't look like, is he gonna be able to? He is able to get out. That was impressive. I didn't think he was gonna be able to get out of that one. I thought he was dead to rights. But here comes the counter push from Illinois. They should be able to get the turret in trade here, and they do take the 1 kill advantage as well. So good little bit of defense there. Maybe a little overzealous from the side of UMKC, thinking they'd be able to get that turret and get out unscathed, but more advantages going to Illinois so far in this third and final game of this first CSL playoffs.
Illinois up by 2.5 gold lead at this point. One thing to also keep in mind about their comp is they probably have the highest single damage comp that you can get with Reza and Blackfeather. If like I want to just jump on a target and burst them down, those are really the top 2 picks there, is the Blackfeather and the Reza. So they're going to be able to pick a target, more than likely the Dark Knight, and just blow them up when these team fights last longer. Now whether Nike is able to land a Valkyrie or something to disrupt that dive, we'll have to see here. Gauntlets from Krishna are going to be insanely important. However, I think everybody would have to agree that Maurice the Beast probably has the advantage in who places the better gauntlets.
Well, right now he doesn't have the advantage, unfortunately, though, because he is not level 6 yet, and Krishna is. That's the only way he gets beat out, probably, on gauntlets, is when he can cast one. But here comes the initiation from the side of Illinois. They go straight on top of Dark Knight and blow him up immediately. Krishna with a late gauntlet, not going to do a whole lot of here. Blackfeather gets out with that Rose offensive. Rhyme trying to do as much work as he can, but he doesn't have the damage. He has an Eve of Harvest and nothing else. There's no way he's going to be able to do the damage needed to kill this Blackfeather or this Reza, even though Blackfeather was really low. That was exactly what you were talking about. The Reza Blackfeather combo straight on the Dark Knight. There wasn't a gauntlet to peel. The Valkyrie seemed a little bit late to help with the peel, and Dark Knight just gets blown up.
Yeah, it's always nice as a caster when you predict something and tell, say how it's going to play out, and immediately when you finish your sentence, it plays out exactly that way. They jump on the Dark Knight, they burst him down. Nike late with the Valkyrie there. Although you did see that once he did get in the fight, Aranimus struggled. He was able to escape, which gave Illinois the opportunity to regroup and then focus down the Rhyme once he was able to get some more, get out of there, stop taking damage, get a Vanguard from Maurice, and that team fight went to perfection for Illinois. And that's what I expect to see through most of this match. So we'll have to see how UMKC can respond and if they're able to come up with a strategy that's going to be able to counter that. But I have a feeling here that Dark Knight's just going to be in for a rough night.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to take the 2v3 here. Reza just recalled, but Maurice is 6 now and able to throw a gauntlet out and stun up 2 members right away. That's another thing we didn't see in that last fight, because Maurice just hit 6 less than a minute ago, so he did not have a gauntlet in that fight. So they were at that's a fairly big disadvantage when the other team has an Arden and a gauntlet up and you don't. That's a little weird when it happens, but they were able to win the fight though, so I feel like more fights are going to go in their favor here shortly.
Yeah, typically I would agree with you, but I think in this situation Maurice is going to be able to just save his gauntlet for more defensive uses than offensive, because the Saw is not going to go anywhere, and Rhyme and Arden both want to come to the fight, so he's not really going to have to gauntlet them in order to get them together where his team wants. Now, we may see a gauntlet come out at some point just to single out a player on UMKC, but he won't have to, I don't think, throw down too many gauntlets in this match to try to corral UMKC, because their comp, the way their comp plays, is just going to force them to corral themselves.
Yeah, that is a good point you made there. They are going to be corralling themselves. I was thinking more of using the gauntlet in a defensive manner as well, because they're able to either peel off the Rhyme or save his teammates if Reza or Blackfeather does end up getting low. They both have their own escape mechanisms, but that gauntlet will just probably make sure that they don't die at all. Or we'll see Maurice throw initiation gauntlets or counter initiation gauntlets like he did in game 1. The counter initiation gauntlets were something that he really liked. They were able to bait out some ultimates from the side of UMKC, and then he would throw the gauntlet after the fact onto the backline, allowing his team to jump on to both of them and just go crazy. So we'll see how he decides to use them, though. I mean, they might not need to use very many defensive ones here, depending on how Blackfeather and Reza want to start fights.
Another thing to keep an eye on is
there's a gauntlet.
The gauntlet comes down and a fight is breaking out.
Yeah, good gauntlet, and then a second one coming, or no, that's Krishna, sorry, I got a little confused there. But Blackfeather and Saw go down at the same time, a little bit awkward there. They did split off the Krishna from that fight originally, so he wasn't able to Vanguard in and help out, but now it's going to be a Rhyme versus a Reza. Both of them, you're going to see who does more damage, basically, finally, and I feel like it's going to be the Reza, because he has that Aftershock for more burst, and the fact that Nike doesn't have a second tier 3 damage item yet, but he is trading really. Oh no, he's not trading as well as I thought he was. I missed his health bar going super low there, and he does end up going down. Good kiting by Red Rum on the Reza, able to finally find out that burst and kill off Nike on this Rhyme.
Yeah, and a great play there coming out of Red Rum. Something very small there at the end, because as we said, Nike struggling to put the damage down onto Red Rum because Reza just so hard to hit with those slow hitting Winter Spires, as we see Dark Knight drop again. But Red Rum was very close to dying, probably going to die had he just continued to stay there in the fight, because of the heroic perk from the Rhyme where he was continuing to get that tick damage. But instead he goes into his Nether Form detonation, which didn't cleanse him because he only cleanses movements, but it did give him the fortified health, so when he came back up, he was able to ward off that tick damage, and probably stayed in his Nether Form detonation long enough for that tick damage to subside. So saved himself by using his ult in a situation where you typically wouldn't see it, but he was very close to dying, but kept himself alive by that heads-up play.
Yeah, a little bit of fortified health is all I needed to stave off the tick damage from the Rhyme, or the damage over time from Rhyme. And then we have a kind of a standoff here in the middle. There's about a 5,500 gold lead for the side of Illinois, and it looks like UMKC is a little bit struggling. They don't have any real damage. Going in and looking at their items, there's only one tier 3 item completed for both Rhyme and Saw, compared to at least there's 3 on the side of Blackfeather. Blackfeather has a Serpent's Mask, a Breaking Point, and a Tension Bow already. So he has more tier 3 items than both the carry and the jungle of UMKC.
Yeah, and Nike choosing to go with this Eve of Harvest, in my mind, is not the most optimal item for Rhyme. It used to be kind of, I guess, in the older days, so to speak, is how people would build Rhyme. But the damage, the crystal damage, will give you more fortified health than you're going to get lifesteal off of an Eve of Harvest. So he'd really be better off having gone with like a Shatter Glass, something for that pure burst, especially with the way that he's going to struggle to hit either Aranimus or Red Rum in these fights because they're just so mobile. You want to do as much damage in those instances where you're able to get the damage onto them as you can, and only having an Eve of Harvest is not doing a whole lot of damage.
And here comes the patient gank from the side of Illinois. Both gauntlets get thrown down. Saw goes down almost instantly. Not a lot of damage done to anyone on the side of Illinois yet. And Aranimus at half health, but there's only one member up, and it's Nike. And Nike should go down pretty easily now in 3v1. Standing his ground as best he can here, but with the Arden shields and everything else, I don't think he had much of a chance. A good bit of patience from the side of Illinois there, waiting in the enemy tri-bush just to see where they were, and eventually throwing the gauntlet down and just going all in onto the Saw. That was something I was expecting to see a little bit. They don't need the gauntlet to throw on top of Saw, but it does help him from running away. So
yeah, that it definitely does. It was a well-placed gauntlet by Maurice, and I think we saw what we were just talking about on Nike come to fruition. He managed to stay alive in that 1v3 for an obscenely long amount of time, especially when you consider how quickly they burst down Dark Knight and Krishna in that fight. The damage that we know the side of Illinois can do. Nike stayed alive for a good amount of time because of that fortified health, and because all 3 were just grouped around him and he's getting fortified health from the damage on all 3 of them. However, because it was an Eve of Harvest, he's only doing, I believe Eve of Harvest has 55 CP, so he only has 55 crystal power to throw into that crystal ratio. And had he had a Shatter Glass or something, he would have done more damage to the team while they were fighting, would have given himself even more fortified health, and we might have seen a good possibility of Nike being able to fight off that 1v3 if he had had more than just an Eve of Harvest online.
Yeah, he does go for the infusion now. He has the heavy prism as well, so he only has, with the infusion, he has like maybe 135 CP, as it looks like Illinois is going to push here as UMKC starting up the Kraken. Maurice the Beast already sees this, telling his teammates to go for that choke port turret, and it's down already, and this Kraken is only at half health now. They might be able to secure it. We'll see what happens. Gauntlet gets thrown down to try and deter them away, but it does end up going the side of UMKC. Fights coming out. Maurice the Beast throws the gauntlet down to separate up the members of UMKC. Saw finally gets bursted down by the Blackfeather Reza combo, and now the fight begins in the 2v3. Is Nike going to be able to do enough damage? I don't think he's going to do, and he does end up getting burst down from that execute damage from the Blackfeather right there, showcasing how strong Blackfeather is, and that's why right there is that execute damage is just a huge burst that is almost unavoidable in a lot of instances. So they do end up getting the ace for Illinois, and Blackfeather is already back killing the Kraken, which UMKC did get, but they lost their choke point. They're not going to get much with the Kraken. They're going to get one turret, and it looks like they're going to lose another base turret as well, as Dark Knight tries to 1v2 here. As Rhyme comes back, we'll see. They're going to be able to deter him, I feel like, but I don't think they're going to get any kills.
Yeah, they are pushing him out, and Illinois a little split on their decision as far as whether they're going to push turrets or kill the Kraken. Aranimus started to leave the Kraken alone, then turned around and went back. Um, and in that last fight, we saw Nike get bursted down. I think primarily because he chose to run away, which let all his fortified health kind of wear off. Rhyme similar to Kroll and Jewel in the fact that if you find yourself in a position where you have to run away, you are going to die in most cases if they can chase you down, because your survivability is dependent on you moving forward and staying in the fight. Nike chose to run away, finding himself at poor odds in that team fight, but his hope for staying alive was really staying in there and fighting.
Yeah, it paid off for him last time. He stayed alive for a lot longer. But in that aspect, much like Jewel, if you give your he a little bit different because he gets the health from doing or the fortified health from doing damage. With Jewel, same way. If you run from a fight, you're probably having a rough life. Because with Jewel, you turn your back to people and you take bonus damage. Whereas Rhyme, if you're turning your back to people, you're not attacking, so you don't have any fortified health. So kind of an odd decision, but I mean they were in a it was a rock and a hard place for them anyway. They barely gotten the Kraken and they just
Yeah, UMKC probably on their kind of their last breath here. Although if they manage to take a team fight, they only have 3 turrets between them, but they are behind 10k gold. Nike still only has 1 tier 3 offensive item,
and here comes the initiation. Over the wall, Reza goes over with another detonation. Gauntlet goes in. Good Gauntlet counter from Krishna. Lots of damage coming out. Fountain comes out from Krishna, but it looks like they're going to go down. Saw is going to get killed by Maurice the Beast, getting that kill, and Arden's going to be next on the list. It looks like both Red Rum and Maurice the Beast are below half health, but it looks like, I don't think, there's no way Nike has the damage to do this by himself, unfortunately. Still only the Eve of Harvest as his only offensive tier 3 item, and this looks like the icing on the cake and the finish for Illinois.
This is definitely going to be the game, set, and match for Illinois. I feel like a lot of it due to the strange item choices coming out of Nike. He only has the Eve of Harvest online when this drops, and not really building towards anything. He has the Heavy Prism, and he has the Chronograph, but those don't converge into anything. So I'm not sure what exactly he was aiming for in that build. We see Illinois take this match in convincing fashion, 18-1 on the kills, and that was definitely not as exciting as the last couple of matches as far in terms of just that game in particular, but the series definitely one of the more exciting ones that we've got to watch, just for the fact that it went 3 games. There wasn't just a tremendous blowout or anything like that. So very impressive here. I think Illinois came in as probably the heavy favorites, but UMKC showing that, you know, another year or two of preparation for, or another season or two for preparation for the CSL, definitely could become a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, definitely showing that they were able to kind of start off shaky and then do better and then struggle again and kind of back and forth all season for them. But it was good to see you could clearly see that they evolved as a team and that they played well together and they played better together. They still kind of had a limited champion pool or hero pool that we saw with very similar picks coming out all the time, but the coordination was way better than it was. And this is maybe against some of the other teams, they were more of a less, like their teammates might have been lower skilled, but this was a good matchup for them. I feel like they showed that they could still beat teams that have amazing players like Maurice the Beast and his teammates Red Rum and Aranimus. They played really well, and it was just a good series overall. Maybe still struggling, but UMKC has a future for sure in Vainglory.
Yeah, definitely. If they keep with it, maybe learn some theory crafting on their items, so they itemize a little better. It feels to me like that's one of their biggest weaknesses right now. It's just their itemization. But I do especially with the improvement we saw over just the course of one season with UMKC. But Illinois is showing that they're definitely a team that's going to cause problems for other teams going through this playoff scenario here. So I'm excited to see exactly how things end up in the CSL season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to transition this over, guys, so we can take a peek at the schedule. We saw UMKC versus Illinois. Illinois taking that 2-1 here. And then on Thursday, we're going to have UMass versus Houston as our second round of 16 matchup that will be broadcasted. And then next week, we'll get our first peek into the round of 8, where Purdue, who we saw earlier in the year, do really well. They had a bye for the round of 16, and they're going to be facing the winner of Toronto and the University of Chicago on the 21st. That is Thanksgiving week. And then obviously Thursday we will be off for the holiday here in the United States, because everyone will be gone and doing stuff thus so far. But those are some interesting matches coming up. We saw Houston play earlier this year, and they were pretty good. And I think we saw UMass play once as well. I don't recall perfectly, but I think they did as well. So good matches coming up, and some really interesting stuff coming up for the CSL Vainglory here shortly, guys.
Yeah, so definitely exciting things to be tuning in for. So make sure you come back, check us out. The matches are Tuesdays and Thursdays. So here on Twitch, a great partner that has led to some great things for CSL.
Yeah, always check out Twitch on twitter.com/Twitch and on Facebook at facebook.com/Twitch as well. They have been a huge sponsor for the CSL over the years, and we do appreciate everything that they do for us. Guys, that is going to be it for us. Come back at 4 p.m. That is Pacific time for our Thursday matchup, guys. And as always, I am the Esruff, and with me is the infamous coach of Nova Esports, Belligerent. And you can check out us on Twitter. You can see our names right there underneath our portraits. Anything else you want to say, Belligerent?
Nope, I think I've said it all. So everybody just have a great night and come back and check us out on Thursday.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. All right, I'll get some music up for you guys real quick, and we'll call it a night.